is a forerunner in the smart cities movement. Zenith is a company that has been making a name for as a company that can bring the future of smart cities to the forefront. I'm delighted to present Michael Jansen. Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Good.
How are you?
Very well. I see you brought your Digi Award with
I
you.
did. I just
Congratulations.
like a 4-year-old, but thank you. Yeah.
That's great. What does this award mean to you?
We're just trying to get over it right now. I mean, literally, I was walking home 3 feet over the pavement yesterday. The team is ecstatic. We put in so much hard work over a bunch of years, and to have been honored this way for what we've been doing is just it's a miracle.
What would you say is your proudest achievement of what Zenith has achieved in the last 5 years?
Last 5 years. I think probably the technology itself, the way in which the most recent release has helped us to extend beyond where we were simply with cities and into the corporate real estate and AEC sector, architecture, engineering, construction sector. We're proud of that. I think last time we met last year, we were talking about some of the cities we were working with.
Yes.
And this year, we're beginning to work with a lot of the big real estate companies and architecture, engineering, and construction firms. So we've been able to adapt this technology to effectively the practitioners of the built environment, and that was something that as an architect by training, I was keen to do.
Talk to us about the basic technology itself.
Sure. So, in a nutshell, people call this technology Google Earth on steroids,
right.
Or SimCity for real cities. The Google Earth reference is because our original CTO was the creator of Google Earth himself, wow. As I told you last year.
Yes.
And what we've done is kind of taken that approach, and we've added a couple of other things on top of it, one of which is gaming, and the other is BIM, or Building Information Modeling. So what the technology does is it uses a 3D interactive model of the city, which is hyperlinked to dozens and hundreds of data sets live throughout a city or corporate campus. And by being able to effectively aggregate that data, which is in multiple sources, all disconnected, bring it together into an environment where we can curate it and analyze it, then serve it up into a visual environment so everyone can easily understand it. That's what the technology does. So the idea is anyone from the mayor to the corporate real estate director to the engineer in the field to my 10-year-old son can point, click, and swipe their way into any data that they need.
Right. So what are some of the most exciting things you've done in the last year with what you're doing at City?
I think that the Chicago project right now is pretty exciting for us. It's called City Digital, mm-hmm. and we are there working with Microsoft and Accenture and some big partners to provide our user interface on top of a technology stack that they've created that's going to coordinate all the physical underground infrastructure in the city. So it's in a below ground 3D model of the city. And so we'll be taking data from the Department of Transportation, the Department of Water Management, Waste Management, so on and so forth, and associating that with the objects within the model so that a user like you can navigate, point and click on a supply line and retrieve data from the maintenance department, from the engineering department, all in real time. At the moment, this takes months to requisition this data, so it's going to dramatically transform how cities operate.
Yesterday, I was out on the floor looking at some of the VR offerings.
Right.
This feels like such a natural technology to one day be complemented by that. What are the other technologies that you're seeing that you feel could be instantly or soon incorporated into what you're doing?
Honestly, almost everything here, because we are an aggregator that sits on top of everything. So all these point solutions, or these control solutions are all natural fits for us. We can pull their data in and bring it up into our environment. The VR solutions, of course, we have a VR roadmap, and we're heading in that direction. And I think a lot of the VR tools, some of the 3D streaming models that we've seen in here, I think all these things are things that we can incorporate.
Yes.
Literally, everyone here is either a customer or a partner.
That's so great. What is it that what are some of the things they don't know? What are the things that the people at this show and the people watching at home need to know about Zenith that they may not know?
I think that where the big data revolution has reached is in the use of that data, the visualization of that data. And over the last several years, cities and buildings have produced more data than the previous 200. It's a staggering statistic. So with these massive mounds or this morass of data that's largely unintelligible to the average user, we have to perform the same function that to some extent Windows did for DOS, which was it took a complex computer language and simplified it for the average audience.
Right.
We call ourselves the Fisher-Price of GIS. It's designed that anyone can actually use it neatly and quickly from a web browser anywhere in the world.
It's fantastic. When you look out at the landscape, what are the trends that you're seeing this year?
Well, there are, I've seen more 3D than I've ever seen before, which is a good thing. And I think that the push into 3D has to be led by the real estate and the AEC industry. I'm glad to see that here. It provides tremendous value. We see more and more sort of cloud-based solutions, so everything has gone into the clouds. We see more and more apps that we didn't see 3-4 years ago. So now it's kind of like technology has hit the real estate community finally, and a lot of companies have now been invested also.
Right.
That's new. Typically, this is a space that has not attracted a lot of investment over the past couple of years. You can see now more and more of these companies getting funded.
Yeah. It's reflected in both the booths themselves and also just the confidence of the vendors really feeling like they finally have the firepower behind them to carry out the vision.
That's right, and I think that you have to credit some of the forward-thinking real estate owners and property managers who have been great partners to those companies to help them take what they have and make it work as best as it can in this environment. And there are a lot of, especially at this show, real sort of evangelists and harbingers, if you will, who are very capable of being those partners. So that's exciting to see. I've met some CIOs here from some of the big real estate companies who are just absolutely brilliant. And some of the corporate real estate directors really are just genius. So you can see them all here at one place. It's remarkable.
People have been talking a lot about Realcomm as a show. What do you think is the advantage of this show over other shows?
Other real estate shows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the other shows that don't really focus on innovation the way that this show does. They're more transactional.
Yeah.
They're more kind of nuts and bolts, and there's a role for that. That's important. But this show very specifically is about trying to predict the future of real estate, especially from the technology perspective. And hence, the general session yesterday, you saw Jim Young talk about several emerging technologies. They're all big in discussion in Silicon Valley, everything from Bitcoin to deep learning to you name it. And how is to 3D printing? How is that going to impact real estate? Some of those will have a huge impact on real estate.
Absolutely.
And it's been fascinating to see how this industry is beginning to take up some of those technologies.
What is it about what you do that you most enjoy?
Well, that's a good question. I love coming to work. I'm an architect by training, so I'm kind of a left and right brainer. And I'm sort of a Sagittarius with Virgo rising, so I love the beauty of the built environment. The architect in me is passionate for the elegance of architecture, but yet the businessman and the operations person inside me love solving problems. So with this type of tool, we can almost create a perfect virtual world of what should be, and then help guide our customers to that perfection.
Would you say that that's a key value? I mean, when I see a company like yours that is both doing well but seems to have an aesthetic to itself,
right.
I always wonder what a CEO feels is the key value that drives a company like City Zenith forward.
Right. I think the value that we provide, I mean, the values that we have are that we can connect things better. We can personalize the experience of data in such a way that it can make it useful to you. Yeah. And the way to do that is to appeal to the emotional also as well, to appeal to the visual. You look at companies like Slack, which is kind of a simple idea, but the UI is so beautifully handled that it's a lesson for us. You look at companies like Apple, a lot of companies make phones, but there's something, that's a company that understands the importance of design.
Right.
So we like to think of ourselves as a company which understands the importance of the beautiful and the importance of design in that interaction with data.
It's very cool. What would you say to someone who is a potential City Zenith customer?
Right.
They're looking out at the landscape of choices they have. What do they need to really know about what you do?
I think that they need to understand that their data has a lot more power inside it than they realize. And if we can pull that data out and make it useful and show it to them in ways that they haven't seen it before, it can transform how they do business. Our customers are always flabbergasted to learn about themselves through using our tool. Because now we take everything that was hidden in a spreadsheet or a PDF, and we show it to you as a thing that you can easily understand. So we play that role of being the kind of democratizer and explainer of the data, hopefully in a beautiful way so that you feel compelled to engage with it. And that's extremely critical in the big data play. There's lots of back-end big data stuff, doing great stuff, batch processing and crunching and analysis, but there aren't so many great visualization tools that make all of that useful.
Right.
And that's where we're focused.
It's terrific. It's almost like having a therapist for your business. You know what I mean? Like reflecting back to you something you hadn't realized about yourself. What is an example of something that was invisible to a client, and then City Zenith was able to go, hey, did you know this is what's going on? Have you had any kind of example of that?
Oh, many. From the bizarre to the beautiful. I mean, a case we were working in Abu Dhabi where we were given a GIS file for a new development that had 50,000 homes, and in the middle of the development, as we modeled it, suddenly you had this skyscraper that was 30 miles tall. It was obviously a data entry error.
Oh, right.
So there are situations like that where it's simply a question of manual input error. And then there are things like what we're doing in San Francisco, where the video that we're showing here at our booth in 407 is how one single owner that has participated in this demo has 50 properties across the entire country. We focused on how you can look at the entire country and every single portfolio and then drill down into San Francisco, see the four, and then drill down into one property, and then drill down into one floor, and then drill down into one sensor on one floor and see a single reading. So people, I think, are too used to working blind. And they don't realize that today they can literally get right to what they need if they organize it properly. And this interface makes it easy to do. So we've had terrific response here from corporate real estate directors, from the REITs, from the developers. Even exceeded my expectations. Certainly this blew my expectations off the map. But we're thrilled because we think it's not just a recognition of City Zenith, but a recognition of the importance of data visualization generally, and the importance of being able to see data in a way that you haven't seen it before.
It's terrific. The emotional, the technical, the beautiful. Michael, thank you so much for being with us
No, it's
today.
a pleasure. Thanks again.
Pleasure. Michael Jansen.